And if I wouldn't have gone to her house to deliver that cake container, I would have had no idea where I was. Like, truly no idea. And as I pulled up to the sign, I realized that I was 20 minutes east of my home, like of where I live. So in 4 minutes, I time traveled 30 minutes. I was so dazed and confused. I pulled over and like turned around and like stopped. I was like, what is going on? Welcome to the Rylee June Show. I am your host, Rylee June, intuition master coach and spiritual activator. This podcast is here to support you on your growth and ascension journey, for those new to learning about their energy and for light leaders to set a standard in their work and practices within the industry. Running a multi-six-figure business as a light leader comes with great responsibility. And as I expand my work into the corners of the globe to help others reconnect with who they truly are, just know your time spent here with me is held sacredly. And for light leaders, it's time to show up. We have a massive mission to raise the awareness of human consciousness in our globe. So let's get to work. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another session. Today, I'm going to be really diving into one of the freaking coolest things that has ever happened to me. It's really cool in theory. I'm still processing it, and I know it's going to be really cool the more and more that I let this settle in, which you'll see in a moment. You're going to hear all about it. But I really want to connect with you today on really just allowing yourself to take the time to recalibrate. So at this point, when I'm recording this session for you all, it's going to air on Monday, and we're on day 2 of the recalibration series. And today's divine assignment was all about creating space. And so the assignment was to do a 24-hour social detox, and if you really wanted to go all in, just clearing out all the technology. And something that you will learn from this experience, if you've never done it before, is truly how automated your programming is surrounding clicking and scrolling on social media and on your phone. I haven't done one of these for a very long time, and it was honestly so disgustingly shocking how much I pick up my phone and use it. I broke my own promise of not going on social media from just unconscious habits and behaviors. And so in that, I would quickly catch myself because I'm teaching and training myself more and more every day to become more aware of what I'm doing in the moment. So today was all about presence. It was all about really just tuning into your environment and being alive with the life around you. And so me and Phil, we typically will go to the city, and we have about an hour and a half of a drive there and then another hour and a half back, not even including any driving time we do in between that. And so typically when I'm in the truck, I'll spend a lot of that time either writing emails or doing client support or working with my team just to do some scheduling stuff for the day or whatever that's going to look like. And so as I'm driving, some of that time is also filled with scrolling on social media. And so today I spent some time doing client support, and then I noticed how I would go into my apps and I would just be aimlessly scrolling, and I'd catch myself and I'd have to come out of it, and I'd close the app and I'd shut it down. And it was really, really fascinating from an observational perspective just to see how truly ingrained this habit is in my system without any sort of awareness. It is such an automatic thing. And so as I went throughout the day, I would continue to catch myself and turn it off. And so I would have these moments of clarity. I would have these moments of breakthroughs. And one, just like how ridiculous it is how much I spend time scrolling aimlessly. But two, in just also the time that I regained catching myself from doing that, which sometimes would turn into 30-minute or hour-long scrolls or click-throughs to 100 other different things. And all of a sudden I start with scrolling and I end up with figuring out lunch for the next week on Pinterest, right? The direction you go aimlessly is so crazy. But I would realize all that time that I would normally spend doing that, I now was regaining. So I was playing with the kids in the truck, and Phil and I were having conversations, and then just planning and visioning and really just taking the time to be present. And so we are in the midst of getting a new vehicle. We want something with more seating in it, just for more space for the kids. And so we decided to list both of the vehicles that we have currently and just see which one sells faster. And we ended up selling both of them within a 24-hour span of time. And so in that span of time, we don't even have a new vehicle yet. So I got to move around my entire schedule today, and thank God what I do is so flexible and my clients are so understanding. This was something that came absolutely out of nowhere, though exactly divinely quickly manifested for us in the best of ways. And so Phil and I have really spent the last year being very intentional about learning how to better manage money and just appropriately budgeting, and not from a restrictive perspective or experience, but from really just understanding where we are and where we're going and what it looks like planning that financially. So I'd say a year ago, like 2021 at the beginning, I spent a lot of time in the first quarter and a half of the year diving into programs and containers and coaching to teach me how to better manage money and learn better business development practices and strategies. And I spent the majority of 2021 really going through our financial circumstances with a fine-tooth comb, to now I'm at the point where not only are all our bills paid on time in full, but we have money left over at the end of the month, and we have all of our debt aligned on payments. You really don't realize how much you're putting off or how much more you could be allocating to your debt when you don't even understand what your payments look like every month. And so this was something that I really spent a lot of time last year figuring out. And so because of that, or I should say why I did that last year, was because a few years prior, and I promise there's a really freaking incredible story that is going to come out of this, but I need to give you background context. So why I spent the beginning of 2021 doing that was because I think it was in 2019, we had 2 vehicle repossessions. So Phil started his surgery and his whole going downhill with his heart stuff in 2016, and about the middle of it was when his first surgery was. And so we spent half of 2016, all of 2017, just basically scraping together whatever we could. I couldn't work because I had to be a full-time caregiver to him and to our son when he was born in the January of 2017. And so we did the best that we could with what we had, both financially and even mentally, to keep the vehicles that we had purchased a few years before any of this had even started. And these are circumstances that you can't plan for, right? We didn't plan when we bought our vehicles for Phil to be going downhill and then us having to scramble to figure out how to even make money, let alone how to keep what we were already sustaining. And so when we finally got to a point where we had to just forfeit the vehicles, it was actually such a weight off our shoulders not to have to be behind on payments and stress about, whether we're going to keep the vehicles or lose vehicles or all this stuff. Like, it was such a huge relief. But because of those repossessions, it hurt our credit financially. And so for the last couple of years, we've really been taking the time to try and rebuild our credit. And if you've ever been in any sort of credit issues, you know that it's not an overnight fix, and it's not even like a year or 2 fix that you can really appropriately deal with. And so it's taken us a lot of time to really get back on track, especially because my business really didn't take off until the beginning of 2020. And so I've had 2 full, really strong years in this experience, and it is such an incredible blessing. But because I only have 2 years as a self-employed person, I also had to have 2 years of taxes until our credit would actually be viable for us to leverage or use for anything. So finally, we go and we're getting a new vehicle and we're able to be approved for financing, which was such an amazing experience. And this time, instead of looking at it as debt or we're acquiring more debt, We're actually looking at it from the lens of how can we leverage debt? So how can we open up our cash flow and provide us an experience that is going to equally build on our credit? So having low payments over a short amount of time and paying them off monthly. So it builds on our credit, it builds on that consistency, and it keeps our cash flow open for other things. So when you take the time to really dig through your finances and intentionally move all the limiting beliefs out of the way and heal them, your experience with money is so much more fun, truly. So this isn't an episode about money per se, but this whole experience, okay, let's get a vehicle. This started like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And so we listed the trucks. We're like, okay, well, whichever one sells first, we'll just take the money from that and we'll go buy a vehicle. To both of them selling, to realizing that we have an opportunity and got approved for an opportunity to build on our credit appropriately and properly for the first time in like 4 years. And not only that, this is all taking place within 24 hours. It's wild. It's insane. And I'm so grateful that not only are my clients amazing people, so everything was able to be arranged, but also that my business is truly that flexible. My time is truly that flexible. And this is so vitally important as you're creating your own life, because there are points in your life where you don't see the money rolling in or bills are stacking up, and it is hard and challenging. But your why for why you keep going has to be bigger and greater than the challenge in the moment. It is truly the only fuel that you're going to have in some of those deep, hard, dark places to really clutch onto to keep on going. So where this is going is, and how this ties into recalibrate the second day experience of a 24-hour detox. So as we're in this manifestation portal, and this isn't something that's just like happening one time, it's going to go away. Like, this is an entirely new vibrational signature and frequency that I am working within, and it's playing out now in real time. This was 2 years of me healing and showing up and figuring out who I am and making the space and connecting with the people and investing in bigger programs and doing things in bigger ways and going through the darks and going through the highs and going through the lows and going through the greater to be able to see things play out in real time. Now, some things happen sooner, some things happen take a little bit longer, but this is really a truly powerful experience of sustainability, period, moving forward. The new clients that I have enrolling almost on the daily, the magazine companies that are coming to me to do publications on my work and just who I am and what I do in this world, the connections that I'm making on our higher level of just like consciousness. The people are just so grounded into who they are and where they're going, and they have network connections to celebrities and all these really incredible things. So everything is lining up in perfect divine timing, and however all those things unfold is to be unknown at this point. But the point is that as you continue to show up, as you keep going, you accelerate all the experiences to show up. And what's supporting me and not sabotaging myself in the beliefs that, okay, this is only going to happen one time, or you're in a portal and then it's going to crash and all the things are going to come crumbling down, is the tools that I've learned along the way to support me in being able to not only address the thoughts that come up, if they come up or when they come up, but also the perspective and the ability to feel into my energy and know what is true and what is not, and to separate the old from the new. And that is where you really find that sustainability. So this is like one of like 7 different experiences that have shown up in the last couple weeks that you're going to hear unroll in the next few episodes throughout the next couple months. However, as I'm creating this space in my energy, as I'm creating more presence in my life, as I am, watching all these incredible manifestations unfold in real time, selling both the vehicles, opening up even more cash flow, getting approved for a loan, being able to rebuild our credit even more, I equally was connected with a woman this morning who has a very similar vision to me with similar yet unique abilities, and we're going to be creating the most incredible program together, which just alleviated so much pressure. And it is just like everything is aligning. And so as I'm creating all this space in my energy and in my mind and in my body, I've been doing some detoxes for my liver and really intentionally fueling my body with better quality foods, right? So all the prep work has been in place to build up to this, okay? I'm driving home and I love solo drives. I don't know about you, but I really love my solo drives because it gives me this opportunity to just like talk out loud like a crazy person without the kids going, Mommy, who are you talking to? It's like, oh, myself. So I'm in the truck and I'm just talking to myself and I'm talking about my vision. And I'm, acknowledging how far I've come out loud. And I'm really just taking the time to process where I'm at and where I'm going and all these beautiful experiences that are unfolding for me and for my family in our life. And my husband calls me at 7:36 p.m. I'm about 10 minutes away from home. I'm entering a town called Bruce. And just before I cross over that, driving on the highway past it, we hang up the phone. And I'm in that energy, I'm in that vibration, I'm just basking in that feeling. And all of a sudden I look up at the clock and it's 7:40. And I look at the road and I realize that I'm not in the right place at all. And I can't figure out what's going on. I just feel all of a sudden like lost and confused. And I'm looking around and I see a town name come up and I don't recognize it. It's not one that's on our drive home. And so I start to realize that I probably passed my turn. I'm like, well, it can't be that far out. Like I was literally like 10 minutes west of town and, I can't be more than a couple minutes east. Like I don't remember driving by it. When you go through the town that I live in, there's like the intersection. It's lit up with lights and there's stores around and there's grain silos. Like you know where you are. And everything at this point is dark except for this sign and like a hostel off to the side. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of scary movie shit, but we're going to hope for the best here. And I keep driving a little bit more down the road and I see this sign that says Camp Lake. And the only reason that I recognize this sign was because 2 weeks prior, I was returning a cake container to the lady in town who made Philip's cake for his birthday, for his 5th birthday. I can't believe I have a 5-year-old. I was returning the cake container to her, and on the way to her house, I remember seeing a sign that said Camp Lake, and it was 20 minutes away. And I thought to myself in that moment when I was returning the cake container, wow, that would be really fun to go to a lake that's near us in the summer. And if I wouldn't have gone to her house to deliver that cake container, I would have had no idea where I was. Like, truly no idea. And as I pulled up to the sign, I realized that I was 20 minutes east of my home, like of where I live. So in 4 minutes, I time traveled 30 minutes. I was so dazed and confused. I pulled over and like turned around and like stopped. I was like, what is going on? How did that even happen? And my phone was dead at this point, so I couldn't pull up a GPS. I couldn't call my husband and be like, yo, I'm in, like, I don't even know where I am. I'll see you when I see you kind of thing. But I couldn't believe that it happened. And I think what really shocked me the most was, one, I couldn't believe that it happened. I had no idea where I was. But when I started to realize where, in fact, I was and all the things that led up to that moment of time traveling, was that I had just jumped myself essentially 30 minutes into the future. So what had happened in that process was whatever last remaining remnants of who I was going into this time travel experience left my body. And so did essentially a time frame that it was going to take me to process it. So maybe it was 30 minutes longer that it was going to take me to process. Maybe it was going to be 3 days, 3 hours, 3 months, 3 years. Who knows? But my point is that whatever was holding me back from being 30 minutes ahead in my life was now accessible and available, and I collapsed time in 4 minutes. And I remember once I finally got back into the town, just how much lighter I felt. Because I spent basically the entire drive back to town like, what the F just happened? Oh my gosh, what's going on? How did I do that? I'm freaking out. Like, am I even going to get home? Like, what's going on? Did I end up in another dimension? I've been going down too many TikTok rabbit holes. Am I ever going to see my family again? Does anybody live in this world? I have been down some crazy rabbit holes on TikTok, okay? That'll be another story for another time. But anyways, when I finally get into the town, I realize that once I stop panicking, that I feel good. I feel good. I feel whole. I feel the trust of the universe. I feel God working through me. I feel like I don't need to do or say anything differently than what I'm already doing because it really truly is enough. And I realized in that moment that this is why healing and conscious expansion and following the intuitive nudges, even when they don't make sense, building on the visions as you grow and evolve as a human being, become so vitally important. The law of energy for this month was the law of perpetual transmission. And this law is all about vision. It's all about the energy that is forever moving into form, through form, and back into form. It's the movement of coming together and breaking apart and recalibrating and moving out of its way and coming back together and formulating new experiences. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be directed and transmuted. And so as you heal, you learn how to manipulate the experiences around you. And I say that neutrally because everything is neutral. The more you gain clarity over your emotions, the more you heal beyond the emotional programming of your mind and you come into your heart, you realize that everything is truly neutral. And we as human beings place value and meaning and emotions and intentions on top of what is always only neutral. The energy flows and we give it an image, a vision, an intention, an emotion. And we internalize that image, that emotion, that vision, that experience. We make meaning, we plant it in our hearts and our subconscious mind, and we formulate beliefs. I wanted to take a moment to introduce to you my favorite membership experience of all time. If you haven't already heard or been a part of the Expander membership community, this is a place where anyone on the beginning stages of their journey to finding who you are can come to learn about your energy, intuition, personal growth habits, and self-healing, with others finding themselves too. Our weekly meditations will align you with new habits, guest experts to bring you deeper into your self journey, and monthly coaching and readings with me to guide you into alignment and expansion. Come and join us and swap your Netflix habit with a community healing into self-mastery today. I can't wait to see you inside. Did you know that the early Greeks referred to the subconscious mind as the heart? Because the subconscious mind was truly the guiding factor behind the soul of your intention. So though the soul is its own energy, its own entity, it is neutral to all experiences. Your subconscious thoughts were the footprints, the paths forward for your heart's purpose. And every subconscious belief, whether you like it or not, fuels a greater purpose in this life. It's really not good or bad in anything. And so you have to hold the idea in your mind to internalize it and emotionalize it. And as you do that, when you do that, you're allowing energy to flow in your consciousness, in your reality. So as I've been plugging into emotional stability and going deeper with my energy and clearing out all the stories and clearing out all the distractions and becoming more aware of my automatic programming and behaviors and making space for the empowerment and the embodiment and the clarity and the guidance and the self-understanding, I brought my energy, my consciousness into a physical fruition, into the physical manifestation of my life. And it flowed through me to the point where I quantum leaped. I time traveled and collapsed 30 minutes of time. And who knows how much that time really was of what I was holding on to, because time is really subjective. You know, a baby has no concept of time. Just one day they grow up and then they're aware, or they're an adult. Maybe they're not aware yet, but they're an adult, right? And they're living their life, and all of a sudden their entire life passed them by and they don't even know how they got there. You might even feel that way as an adult, right? Time is subjective. It is not continuous, or it's not a constant. And so as you continue to hold your vision of where you're going, your why of why you're doing what you're doing, why you're healing, why you're showing up and offering healing in this world, and you keep going with that, the more things will manifest. And as you lean on the support of your tools and your techniques and your learning and your understanding, even in the moments of the hardship, especially in the moments of the hardship, and continue to plug into the gratitude when everything's going well and even when it's not, you create these powerful experiences that just blow your mind, no matter how well versed you are in all things energy. The more you do this, the easier it becomes to do. Once you internalize the vision, you must move it into form. And that's where your actions then speak for that energy, that cultivation, all those meditations that you're doing. They're only as good as the actions that you apply it with. But with those meditations, oftentimes where people really struggle, and this is what we're going to be working on a lot in March. We have a meditation teacher coming in to teach us and speak to us all about the power of meditation and truly how beneficial it is and how we get to go deeper with our practice. And we're going to do a 30-day alignment experience. So if you don't already have your Journey to My Higher Self journal, I highly recommend you pop into my shop and grab yourself one, because we're going to be using them for a 30-day alignment experience in March. Okay, but moving forward, so your meditations require a why. Why are you even meditating? Sometimes it's for deeper intentionality. Sometimes it's for clarity. Sometimes it's just to make space in your mind, right? And the more you do this, the more you understand your why, the more consistent you are, the actions you apply to it, the better and faster and quicker things can show up in your life. Oftentimes, or sometimes it seems illogical to follow the idea that come through for you, and that's okay. Of course it's illogical. When you get the download to go left and you're always used to going right, it's going to seem illogical because one, it might take you longer. You don't maybe know that path is clearer, but it tends to be the best one for you at that moment, even if in that moment what you're doing is learning just to trust. Okay? But logic leads you to where you've been. Remember that. Logic leads you to where you've been. Logic is based on automatic programming. Logic is saying, I know where I'm going because I've been there, because I've done that, because it's logical, because it makes sense, because I know. You know physically. But that's only taking you to where you are or where you've been. That's not taking you to where you want to go. So if you want to get somewhere new in your life, don't purely rely on logic. Rely on the law and understanding the law of perpetual transmission, holding the vision, understanding your why, showing up in those actions, and allowing it to create, for you to create the vision that you are carrying. Let the thought form move into a physical experience and break apart as you shift and you change your vibrational state. You've got to break through logic to get to where you've never been before. That is the premises of your intuition. I'm going to say that again. You've got to break through logic to get to where you've never been before. Your intuition isn't based on logic. It is based on downloads from God, from whatever you're connecting with. Although I always recommend, if you're connecting, go to the source. You know your vision is going to be pure, divine, and clear. You're receiving messages from God. You've never been to those spaces before. If you're investing in a coach or a program for the first time, it's not going to sound logical because you've never done it before. It might sound ideal. It might sound like a good idea. It might feel like it's somewhere where you need to be. But if your finances aren't just wildly open for you to just, no problem, that's not going to affect anything else in my life, that's not going to sound or feel logical in your body. It's not going to make sense if you go and check in with your spouse on spending money or investing in a coach or a program, or starting up a business. Though spiritual businesses, period, can essentially be built virtually for free. Though I always say go with the education, right? Just because you can start it for free doesn't mean that the education comes for free. So as you're moving through your life, as you're quantum leaping, as you desire to quantum leap even more, take the time to truly tune into where you're going, why you're going there, okay? Behind the scenes of the Rylee June brand and vision is someone who takes the time to dedicate herself into her practice, into what she preaches and teaches to her clients to do every day in their lives, and that is intentionality. And I'm not perfect. By no means I'm not perfect, and I never would pretend that I am. There are days where I get frustrated with my kids. There are days where I spend too much time on my phone. There are days where, I overserve or overdeliver with my clients, or there are days where, I don't do the laundry, I don't do the dishes, right? There's 100 different things that we're always supposed to be doing, but we're not doing. But in everything I do, I start my day with intentionality, and I become more and more mindful every day of how I'm spending my time, how I'm fueling my mind and my body, and where my attention is truly going. And that is what has given me the momentum and the clarity and the vision and the connections and the direction to build the programs that you see listed on my site, to learn the marketing and the branding behind everything that you aesthetically see, to be able to connect with the copy, with the text that you read on the landing pages or in my posts, or even in the way that I explain things to people through readings or coachings or group sessions, right? All of that came from going deeper within my work. And so behind the scenes in the Rylee June brand, what's currently taking place is I'm going to have 2 soul focuses moving forward. So if you haven't already taken witness to this on Instagram, I'm actually going to be splitting up my self-development focus. For those of you who are listening and you're on a personal spiritual development journey, you're going to want to go and follow along with the Divine Expander account. So this was originally an account created in the middle of last year, because I'm going to just type this in as I'm saying it so that I remember to do this. Spiritual self journey. Follow on Instagram. You're coming along for this one. Instagram. Okay, so this account was actually originally created in the middle of last year when I was going to completely rebrand my company to the Divine Expander. I was going to take out Rylee June entirely, and then the more and more I kept building it, the more and more it felt unaligned from what I wanted to do or where I was going to go. And so I realized that, or actually what I did was I just put a complete halt on it. And then as I continued to develop and grow my audience with all of you, a lot of on the Rylee June page, as you've seen, is very much tailored and focused more towards light leaders and healers who are, serving the world with their gifts, and they're looking for that development. There really isn't much out there where you can get held both masculinely. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. Masculinely and femininely in the spiritual community. There really isn't. It's either a very masculine approach around like structure and strategy and business, which you typically don't even find in the spiritual industry. You typically have to go seek outside of that in the personal development industry, which is where you're going to find a lot more males teaching business strategy. Or you're going to be very much embedded in the spiritual aspect of it, and it's really about the divine feminine embodiment. And what I struggled with so much in being able to get my brand and my business to where it is today was having to always look outside in so many different avenues and corners for the people to support me and what I didn't know. You cannot build a spiritual business. You can get to 6 figures relatively easily just through consistency and showing up. You don't even need a website. One program, one offer, you're good to go. Keep showing up and keep sharing it. You can make $100,000 very quickly. But when you want to make more than $100,000, even like beyond a 150 mark, you really max yourself out at that because there's truly only so much you can do. So when it comes to making multiple 6 figures and even getting into the millions, there is so much more you need to know that is not taught from more often what I have come to find from spiritual business coaches. I find that spiritual business coaches actually don't teach you jack shit about business. I apologize if you're listening to this in the car with your kids, but it was so frustrating to me. And so I started tailoring a lot of my content to supporting healers on their spiritual development journey. And so that's where the Aligned and Ascend Mastermind came from. That's where the Magnetic Woman program came from, which is coming back here right away in the beginning of March. It's a 6-week program to really support you in going deeper in your sacred sessions and just cleaning up some of those back-end processes and fundamental things that are required to protect you, your clients, and your content, your business, your models, the work that you do, your practices, your healing modalities. But anyways, so that's where those 2 programs were born from, because I was so frustrated with not being able to find it and having all this knowledge where I was like, I'm just going to combine it and I'm going to teach it. And so a lot of the Rylee June page is now tailored to that. And so because I'm not ready to give up the supporting you guys through your spiritual self-development, I find that it just fills me with so much joy supporting you all in a community experience, which is what the Divine Expander membership is all about. But that's all self-development focus is going to be through the Divine Expander Instagram page now. So you can go and follow me on there, and that's where you're going to get so much more specifically tailored content to the self-development journey. And then on my Rylee June page, you're going to see a lot more behind the scenes stuff, me, my personal life, and just the spiritual leadership work. So I wasn't ready to give it up. And when I realized that I started that space because it was now exactly what I needed and everything was already branded for it, then I came back to incorporate it. So behind the scenes, we're doing some split ups in the company in terms of just the direction that we're going in teaching and training. The self-development focus is very much going to be just solely focused on the membership element, because you can't properly go through a spiritual awakening or a self-development journey without community. You just can't do it. Time and time again, there's going to be points where you do some self-isolation to really navigate and figure out everything that's coming up and what those relationships look like in your life moving forward. But you truly can't expand without the community. We need it. Human beings need community. It's a psychological study done across the board, across time. You can look it up anywhere, the power of community in personal development, and you'll find articles upon articles upon articles. So you need community. We need community. So that's what I'm going to keep, because I really love being able to bring in guest speakers and support you guys in monthly alignment experiences and even the energy coaching. So it's a way for you to get access to coaching and, just doing different fun things. So I really love that. So I'm going to keep it. We're going to keep it. We were originally going to keep it until March of 2023, but now we're just going to keep it because I'm really enjoying it, and I found a whole new energy purpose behind it. And then with the mastermind, that whole program is actually going to get turned into a university. So when I talked about in the beginning, this beautiful soul that I was connected with this morning, and we have a similar vision, and we bring both similar but unique modalities together, we're going to be building out an entirely accredited university program that walks you through all the personal self-development stuff of energy, the science, the neuro-linguistic programming, so the thought rewiring and subconscious understanding unraveling, to the science, the neuroscience behind energy and how it specifically connects to chakras and organs. And so just such an in-depth, powerful training to truly help light workers and leaders, as they're on this journey, know what they need to know, like really, truly a university experience. And within that, all the business, coaching, development, fundamentals, legalities, landing page, copywriting, social, all of it. All of it. And it's going to be broken into levels. So that's as much as we know so far. We're going to be building this out over the next year. It's not going to come out until probably June of 2023. But that's going to be my sole focus for this year. Aside from like one-on-one coaching, we have the mastermind that just kicked off our first call yesterday, which was so phenomenal. I am so incredibly excited for these women who are just going to do the most incredible things. You guys, when I say that I am so in love with my life, the words don't even really describe it. It is a feeling so deep within me that I feel emotional even saying, because it took me what seemed like so long to get here. But even in my 4-minute time travel experience this evening, what took 4 years to get to this point seems like it was just yesterday that I was in my living room showing people my cats on a Facebook Live just to get comfortable with being on camera, and telling people I was doing this crazy thing called psychic readings, even though if you know me, I've never done this before, but if you want a card, drop your name. And just so awkward about it, and not even charging, and just doing it because it was helping me to go through my certification and just learn about energy. And what started as an intuitive nudge because I couldn't believe other people didn't know about it, transformed into this multiple 6-figure year business that is growing and expanding. I have publications written about me. I'm featured on podcasts. I've guest spoken in some really incredible programs. I've spoken on stages. I've done fairs with booths, with readings in person. I've run workshops, and that's not ending. That's only going to expand. And what's so incredible is that it all came down to my vision. It all came down to my why. I started because I couldn't believe that people didn't know about intuition, and I wanted to scream from the rooftops, "Hey, you guys, I found the craziest secret to life. Check this out." And my why, my reason to keep showing up was that I wanted people to know. I wanted people to know how incredible they were, how amazing they were, how capable they were, and how they truly could create anything. Even before I believed in that concept myself, I heard it. I didn't know what it really meant. I didn't understand it fully because I never experienced it before. But the more and more that I kept showing up, the more and more evidence that I got how truly capable I was, and how quickly I could learn, how quickly I could adjust, and how quickly I could heal. And then, everything just kind of compounds on each other to the point where you're sitting back on a drive home from the city, time traveling, because you're so fired up about where you are and the confidence that you have that, took 4 years of courage to cultivate. And there's some really big things that I'm going for and applying for and shooting for in my life right now that is requiring that first stage of courage again. I'm not going into it 100% confident in all that it's, in all the vision is that I received. However, I know how it works. I know how to manage my mind. I know how to manage my emotions. I know how to manage my energy. I know how to stabilize it. I know how to shift it. I know how to level it up, take it down, right? And so that took time to work with. And there's so much more that I get to learn and compile on top of that, and really integrate into what I can do for myself and what I can equally teach you. So where I'm going with this is hold the vision, understand your why, and show up for it every single day. Because quantum leaping comes from a space of alignment. And alignment is a state of being that you cultivate within yourself as you go through your healing, bringing up the awareness and the emotions, releasing them, neutralizing them, stabilizing them, bringing up the subconscious beliefs, giving them a voice, neutralizing them, stabilizing them, shifting them, changing them, and moving through all different facets of yourself. So if you take anything away from this, know that whatever you want is possible. Know that wherever you want to go is possible. Know that you can radically change and transform your life and faster and become an even bigger magnet the more you just lean in, sometimes even just with courage, sometimes even with like one eye open because you're like, I don't know about this one. It will truly all work out. It will. And the more you stabilize your energy, your mentality, and your emotions, the miracles come through. The space to create comes through. The downloads, the clarity, the time traveling comes through. And it all just works out. So, with that being said, I would love to hear from you what your biggest takeaway from this session is. It is such an incredible honor to support you guys in these episodes every week. I'm going to be putting out some double episodes because I have some really incredible guest stories that or guests that I've been able to interview that have incredible stories that I know are just going to inspire and move you as much as they moved me. So I look forward to sharing those with you in the coming weeks and months. And beyond that, if you're on a self-healing journey, go and check the Divine Expander Instagram page and pop into the community. And if you're a light worker, a healer, you're ready for your quantum leaps, I have one-on-one coaching space available. So this can be for a spiritual entrepreneur. So if that is you and you're either starting your business, getting started, want to get started, or you're already you're under six figures. There we go. You're under six figures in your business. That's a really great container to get that tailored, personalized experience to really support you in your gift and business expansion. But this one-on-one spot is also available for life and success coaching with a heavy emphasis on spiritual and energetic development. So if you are someone in the personal development area of your life and you really want to go deeper with your healing and your understanding of you, your self-mastery, this one-on-one spot is equally available for you. So this spot might be taken by the time this episode is released. These spots typically go really, really quickly within a day or two, and I've already posted it on Instagram. However, reach out if it's still available. I'd love to connect. If you want to go a little bit deeper with questions, we can do a 15-minute clarity call just to answer anything that may be coming up for you. So we have a lot of work we're going to do together, you guys. And I hope you have been taking notes on these episodes because like I said at the beginning of the year, these episodes are here for you to learn. This one's a little bit longer of an episode, but I hope you're gaining a lot from it. I'd love if you could go and drop a 5-star review on the podcast to support me in getting this message out to all of those who truly need it as well. And as we finish this up, remember, don't forget to find the magic in the day because you are truly capable of the most magical and quantum leaping events in your life now as you are. All right. Take care, love. We will chat soon. Hey, before you go, I wanted to take a moment to just thank you so much for tuning in with me each and every week. If you weren't already aware, new episodes drop on Mondays. If you could please be so kind as to screenshot this episode, just tag me on Instagram at Rylee June with your biggest takeaway, or if you know someone who could really use the insight and guidance provided to you in this session today, I would love for you to go ahead and share this directly to them. I look forward to continuing to bring you insight, guidance, and self-mastery activation tools that you can implement into your life now to truly evolve and become the divine expander that you are. All right, I cannot wait to chat with you soon. And remember, don't forget to go and find the magic in today.